Welcome back. We're joined now by our friend Paul Croshaw, producer, director of Baseball, Dennis, and the French. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes. How you doing, Art?
Okay. Paul used to be a political printer, Democratic activist, and he had a transformation in life, and this movie chronicles his odyssey from a liberal Democrat to a conservative Christian.
Yeah, how's that possible?
Tell us about that.
Well, I was driving to a Michael Dukakis rally one day, and like you said, I was a big liberal activist. I was on the California State Central Committee, president of the Long Beach Democratic Club, and I was driving to this rally, and over the radio, I heard this man talking about God, and it was Dennis Prager. And I sort of knew about Dennis Prager, but I was thinking at the time, here's a man talking about God on a major radio station, KBC. Why is this, or how is this possible? You know, and so it didn't make any sense to me. But what it did was, it brought back a memory that I had on a Little League field when I was 12 years old. I hit a home run. I actually prayed to God hit a home run, and it happened the most dramatic way possible. And so I started listening to Dennis, and slowly over time, actually 12 years, actually 12 painful years, I switched.
Wow.
I became a conservative, then a believer in God, and then ultimately a Christian.
And let's hold up a copy of the DVD of Paul's movie, Baseball, Dennis, and the French. And what do the French have to do with
Well,
this?
I was kind of a strange little kid. I liked French movies growing up. I used to make movies as a kid, all right? I shot Super 8 film and get my friends. We'd actually have big premiere parties at my house.
Steven Spielberg had
Yeah, I was, but
movies when he
I didn't think it was a big deal. I just thought it's something we did. And I was the yearbook photographer. I worked in a camera store. So when after becoming a Christian, my family's baffled by all this. My old friends are baffled by that in Long Beach. Yeah. So
What's happened to Paul?
I could not unpack this story. I could not trap my uncle at Thanksgiving in the kitchen and unpack the story. It's too big. It's too much. So I had to tell a story.
You had to put it out there.
So what we do is we talk about my progressive, fun upbringing, okay, in the suburbs in Roland Heights, California, and then talk about all that. Then we bring in Dennis in a stylized interview, a 35mm film we shot, and why he's given the logical reasons to believe in God, or for God, and the consequences to America if we become a secularized nation. My story, through home movies, archival film footage, photographs, is being told in the background.
Wow.
So it's pretty dramatic, I
Well,
think.
you had to raise almost $1 million to put this together over many years, but you followed your passions.
Right.
And you now have it not only on DVDs, and we'll put up a website at the end of the segment where you can get more information. Actually, it might be one of the longest web names in history, www.baseballdennisandthefrench.com.
That's perfect. That's easy. Just type it once and you're done.
But you followed your passion.
Yeah.
And this is also in limited release across the country.
Yeah, we've been touring it around the country, and we're going to be doing an official release of the DVD in about 8 weeks. And the radio station that syndicates Dennis will be promoting it too. But people actually can buy a copy now.
What's been the reaction of, you go to many of these openings, what's been the reaction
We've
of the
been selling
audience?
out theaters, and they've been cheering. Because, as you know, Dennis is extremely clear. And I never heard these ideas before, Art. I never knew it existed. I didn't know what Judeo-Christian values were. I didn't know what American exceptionalism was. You know, we in the left, we have my friends in the left have a tendency to talk about the bad things about America, or don't want to make it better. But better to what? You know, America's a racist country. Well, is it compared to what? You know, go to Korea, go to some other country. There's a lot of foreigners. It's an amazing place. I didn't realize any of this stuff. I took it all for granted.
I've read quite a bit of Dennis, and he's right. America is a religious country. Values, religion, and values are very important to America, and many feel that this is part of what makes America quite unique.
Yeah, so all this basic philosophy I didn't know existed, so it opened my eyes, but it took me a long time to, receive it, take it in, sort it out, and like I said, it was not easy for me to walk into or get a new form and check off Republican.
A lot of people are either Democrats or Republicans by rote, by family, and don't think about it. And you, to your credit, have thought about it and come up with a decision that's right for you.
Yeah, and I don't bash anybody. I just tell my story. Yeah, I bash the French a little bit. Okay.
Well, they're bashful.
But we have clips of the French movies in there that I used to watch, and that's all for fun. But it's a funny movie. Dennis loves it. We've been getting good reviews, and even the left, the reviewers have not bashed the movie to their credit.
Well, congratulations. I haven't seen it yet, but I look forward to seeing it. And importantly, congratulations on following your passion, whatever that might be. In your case, it was making this movie.
It was.
I salute people that have a feeling and an instinct, and they follow it and do it. So congratulations to you.
And you too.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll be back with more of our show after these messages. We're back, joined now by Tim Grobaty, columnist for the Press-Telegram. Tim, we read your work every week, but it's nice to see you in person.
Hi, Art.
And Tim has just written a book, Long Beach Chronicles, From Pioneers to the 1933 Earthquake, which has a collection of the best of his columns, or some of his columns. And what was the inspiration to write the book, Tim?
Well, the publisher gave me a call and asked me if I'd do it. That was the inspiration.
Okay.
It's the historical press, the history press, I'm sorry, from South Carolina.
Oh, nice.
And they do a lot of these regional books. They like to find, in fact, they kind of like to find local columnists who have done it. I had written most of it, so it wasn't hard for me to do. It was just mostly a compilation of things I had already written.
There's a saying that everyone has a book in them. I don't know whether a compilation of columns fits that quote, but writing is a great skill, and you write 200 columns a year. How do you turn out columns day in, day out, week in, week out?
Well, it's all I do. So,
but you have to have an idea for a column.
well, they come from all over the place. This was, obviously, I'm not doing well. It was.
I make you speechless. But you do it. You've written over 4,000 columns.
Something like that, yeah.
And you started at the Press-Telegram as a copy boy, feature writer, TV critic, and then columnist. And I mean, that's a very responsible position to have as a columnist in a paper. You become kind of the voice of the paper together with the editorial page and one or two other columnists. But where do you go for ideas? Just observing life?
Yeah, I can write about pretty much anything that happens. So something happens to me of any interest whatsoever, and it doesn't take much. A squirrel can go through my backyard, and there's my column. Once a possum actually came into the house and walked over my head. And even as that was happening, I said, well, I got my column tomorrow. Same as if there's an earthquake going on.
I know it's a tough question, but any favorite columns that stand out over the
possum walking over my head was great. It was a great column. Things that happened to me, my mother died when I was 10 months old.
Oh my.
And the only picture I had of her was a wedding picture. It was a little wallet-sized wedding picture. And I got a call one day from a lady who was dying, emphysema, and it turned out she was at my mother's wedding, and she had a ton of pictures of my mother. And this was only about 8 years ago, and I wrote a column about this kind of trove of things. My mom doing
rediscovering your mom.
Yeah. And it was just remarkable that it happened, and that the column wrote itself. It was one of those things that was to me such a powerful
what a blessing. Yeah.
Then another time I set off the fire alarm in the building with a box of Girl Scout cookies. And they had and that was another one. as soon as I set off the fire alarm by accident.
How do Girl Scout cookies trigger a fire alarm?
My daughter was in the Girl Scouts, and I was selling them in the office, as all dads of Girl Scouts have to do. And it wasn't a box of cookies; it was a carton of cookies. And they were heavy, and I was waiting for the elevator, so I set it up on the fire alarm, and it was great.
Those Girl Scouts know how to market and sell those adorable kids.
I sold about 8 boxes of people evacuees.
Well, you've seen Long Beach. You've been with the paper for 37 years. You're an observer of Long Beach. What kind of changes have you seen, and how has the city evolved since you've been here so long?
Well, I've been downtown most of that time, of course, where the paper, I didn't live downtown, but the paper's there.
Yeah.
That's been on a roller coaster ride. You know, they built the Long Beach Plaza and everything was coming back, and then they tore down the Long Beach Plaza and they built the city. It goes up and down downtown, but from the more remarkable is from the book, the old days when Long Beach was very homogeneous, both in class and all the demographics.
Yes,
Everybody was pretty much the same.
It was a first-class tourist destination in the 20s. The finest hotels along the water.
Yeah, and all the movie stars
had a surf. I'll never forget a shot where they had ropes that you had to hold to stop from being pulled out by the undertow.
Yeah.
My, how times have changed.
Yeah, you can't catch the undertow anymore.
Yeah.
But there was, the city did everything as a whole. There wasn't a lot to do other than, I mean, there was the Pike and things, but whenever anything happened, this is before Disneyland or TV for that matter.
Yeah.
When they had the unveiling of the Lincoln statue, something like 50,000 people, which is everybody in town, showed up. When they had the 1910 high school graduation.
Yeah.
Virtually the whole city went to it, and it just took over the whole paper.
And Long Beach was known as Iowa by the Sea. There were a huge number of Iowans that had emigrated here or migrated, whatever moved.
It came.
And even the governor of Iowa would come out for this big picnic here in Long Beach.
Yeah, and anybody running for office had to come to Long Beach to get all those votes. But that was another thing that was there was that sameness there where everybody, the mores and the ethics of the town was just, you know.
It's a conservative town.
And it was
Methodist.
Basically
a white town.
Methodist, white, and Iowan, and it was very cut and dry. You didn't wander out.
Well, we've gone from that to now the most diverse city in America, according to a recent RAND Corporation. So we have adjusted, we've evolved, we have changed, and in many ways evolved into the 21st century.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back with the rest of our show after these messages. Well, we've just had a chance to visit with 3 extraordinary and creative guests, each creative in their own field. Pam Seeger in historic restoration, Paul Croshaw making a movie, and Tim Grobaty, 37 years with the Press Telegram and noted columnist. And I wanted to ask Tim, which was your favorite column in the book that you just came out with?
It's the one I opened with. There's a section, it's called Dulce et Decorum Est. And it's, my daughter Hannah was working on a project for her Millikan paper on Long Beach in World War I, and we visited the graveyard, Sunnyside in Long Beach, and we found a grave. We had done some research to find out who was buried there that died in who served in World War I. And we found a guy there, and I found stories about him and what he had done, and it was very touching. It was a touching article.
We'll have to take a look at that, and we're out of time. Tim, thank you for joining us. Thank you at home for being with us, and please join us next week for the next edition of Straight Talk. Good night, everyone.
Straight Talk has been brought to you by Southern California Edison, the Press Telegram, and remember, Straight Talk is viewable worldwide 24/7 at straighttalktv.com.